Yes, boys and girls, we are going to do sealant glue. Sew-ups? No, that's not right. Yeah, we're going to do a tubeless setup on a new tire and rim set. And I've looked at several videos of what's the latest and greatest-ish and reviews and so forth out there. And I've been doing some tubeless setups over the years. It's not my favorite thing to do, like any mechanic said ever. Any case, we're going to review a few of these things that I found, and let's see, it's something that it works, number one, and if it doesn't work, it's a hot mess and you'll learn something from it. But without further ado, let's dive into this new tubeless setup. Tubeless glue. Glue? Rubber glue? Yeah, I don't know, whatever. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe. Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. I am Justin the Guy, and we are going to do a tubeless setup. I got a brand new bike in, and they upgraded to a tubeless system, which they've got a wheel set to do tubeless. So I'm like, what's the latest? I mean, we got to like check this out. It's one of those situations where there's always new products coming out, new techniques. Granted, there's always better ways of doing pretty much everything. It's always constantly learning in the cycling world. So in any case, I have dived into several videos of what people have been using now for either valve cores, rim tape, for tubeless, and what sealants are out there. And there's a couple, this leads from another video of mine that I'm going to release about a tubeless system gone bad. In other words, somebody didn't set it up correctly. They didn't use the appropriate tubeless rim tape and just regular rim tape, and it leaked into the carbon rear wheel wall. And when it leaks into the wheel wall, it sealed up all the spoke eyelets. So basically made it a completely sealed cavity inside the carbon wheel well. And when they aired up the wheel, and this is off of a road wheel, mind you, problem was the carbon was expanding inside that rim well, which was a deep dish. I don't have one to show, but started cracking the carbon inside in here, creaking. So that could have been a horrific mess, problematic safety. If that would have blown out while riding, basically imagine the gap space between your tire rim and your spokes, which was like about 3 to 4 inches, disassemble on your front wheel, usually going fast, is on a tri-bike, it would have been catastrophic. So needless to say, safety first. When in doubt, take it to a bike shop to have them take a look at it. Okay, so got one wheel cleaned off. Here's the second one. So looking at these wheels, these are an upgrade on a bike that was purchased, and they wanted to go tubeless. And then went me down a little rabbit hole of watching other people. So other brands like Orange Seal, I've always used the stands. And with that particular problem with conversation with the other rim that we were just talking about, apparently stands had like ammonia in one of their formulas prior to, which would oxidize or corrode the spoke nipples inside if it did leak and all that. So there was a problematic portion there. And I've been using the silk waxing, and I've been watching a lot of videos on Silka, and Silka has their own latex tubeless sealant. And there's a couple of people out there that swear by this. They've had a lot of problems with sealing holes and so forth on their tires, and they actually swear by this stuff. And they said it's more than just a sealant, it's like a glue with carbon fiber little bits to plug. So Yeah, if anybody's done a tubeless setup, it's number one, not fun and not easy. Basically, you want to get yourself completely compared and everything laid out and ready to go. A few of the tricks is putting the rim tape on, then inflating the tire on there before you put the sealant in. So get everything to seat once, then you pop the seal, open up the gap. You can't push this through the valve core. That's only one drawback. What I've noticed with some other videos out there, it's super problematic. So you have to pour it into actually the tire area and seal it back up, then reinflate to seal and let it seal up. And when I'm talking about rim tape, if you've never done this before, all tires will have a rim tape, but this rim tape is not specific for tubeless. The reason being, it doesn't go out to the full wheel well where your tubeless tape should, right? And also the slides and has a gap to it. This is really designed for tubes, the tube pressure rim tape. And to be quite honest, they put the cheapest rim tape on there from the manufacturer. The best, if you're just going to do a regular tube and tape, Velox rim tape. I have like a super roll of it for road bikes. You can get in different, you don't have to buy the big one, you just get individuals. But this is the stuff for tube tires. This holds up well, reusable. Reason being, for it to be reusable, sometimes you break a spoke or have a problem and need to replace, you got to pull that tape back. Same thing for this. So you break a spoke and you have a tubeless system, guess what? You're going to be paying for a resealing of a tubeless tire because they have to get to that spoke nipple from the inside of the rim. So it is an added expense, an extra lift. So I'm definitely going to try to talk you out of tubeless as I'm doing this. No, just kidding. But in any case, we need to set this up. First we do the rim tape. And the rim tape I decided to go with, I saw a fancy video, and there's like stands, and there's Muck Off, and various others. This particular guy swears by it, and it's a Scotch 8896 tape. I've used Gorilla Tape before in the past, and it works well. And what I like to call it, the Gorilla Tape is pliable, but it's apparently a no-no within the industry now. You want something that's a little smoother, compact, and that kind of thing. Well, the reason why you put this on, then you pre-seat it, you pre-seal it without the sealant, you pre-inflate it. That's what I'm looking for. Pops the bead in place and everything. Also compresses the tape down over into the wheel well, so it covers all those spoke hole areas, so you have a perfectly good seal. And once that's compressed and it's ready to go, then you can put the sealant in there. If you don't do that beforehand, you might get some leakage underneath that prevents the tape from working. Yes, this is clean, new. If you're redoing it, yeah, you got to clean all that glue out. See in a couple hours of scrubbing. I saw a guy also in the video rabbit hole. There's this rubber style block that really kind of, it's like a rubber eraser kind of looking thing. And it's actually made from a rubber tree or something like that. I'll try to put some information on that below in the content or in the description where it rubs. You still got to put elbow power into it to rub it off, but it comes off a little bit easier, like a tack-on-tack removal. It just reminds me of all the rubber cement. You remember in school days, you're just sitting there playing with rubber cement and sticking with your fingers and your nose and your boogers and all that. It's the same damn type stuff. It's kind of therapeutic in a weird way of being messy. And then again, not. I got a compressor. It's pre-charged up to over 100 psi to pre-seat these. So without further ado, I need to throw some tape on, throw the tire on, the valve core. Also, I got these valve cores. People say the Muck-Off valve cores are pretty good, but talking about 35, 40 bucks. Found these for like 15, so we're gonna give these guys a try off of Amazon. And they had some pretty good reviews. In any case, let's just dive into this and watch me make a mess of my life. Starting now. Alrighty, so I have it seated. Actually, it's gonna make a lot of banging now noise, but it's it's fine. So it's seated, right? Okay, so here is the trick: is once you have it pre-seated, and you let the air out. I do it the opposite side of the valve core, so I'm gonna pop that one side down, get underneath it, and try not to scar up the tape. That's the tricky bit. This is where you would inject the other type. I think I need a little more gap. And looking at the tape, the compression worked well. Then you just open enough up where you can pour it in. So this is where you get very good. Okay, so on this stuff here, it is a latex liquid. Always wear gloves when you start this process. And it has carbon fiber bits on it, and that's what helps seals those bigger holes. So it has had a lot of really good ratings to it, but what you're doing is you're going to be doing 2 ounces. And this is actually not marked, so we get a cup. All right, so I got my scale. I got all you do protein out there, right? So just save these little cups, put it on there, make sure there's no extra gunk in there. I started off zeroed out with just the cup itself, and then we're looking for, double shake this again, make sure all that good bits are in there. And then I'm gonna do 2 ounces. Boom. 2 ounces is pretty much the norm. 2 ounce bottles from Bontrager, stands, orange peels, all that. Okay, now this is where it gets messy. So you gotta get your tire opened up enough to pour it in there. So I need to open up the gap a little bit more, so I have a good gap to apply it. And it has some rags handy. And I'm right-handed, so I need to do this the other way. And hopefully you can pour it in there without too much of a hot mess. Okay, now it's a liquid inside here now, right? Where you want to roll that liquid is to way of the area that you're going to be resealing the valve. So I know it's down here now. And so lightly hold your thumb and then use your whatever preferred tire lever. Put it back in there. And wow, just that much of a mess. That is a first. So I set this back up. Liquid's at the bottom. It's partially sealed underneath. And this is where we test the explosion. Get your air protection in there. Since I'm using a compressor, I use a valve core adapter or a piston valve adapter. So now, since it's seated in there, I do the little wiggle dance. And what you're doing is you're trying to coat that latex all over that rim tape, the tire, and the seal, so it gives a good seal to it. And once it's seated, then I can proceed with my my floor pump. And the reason being for that, it has a gauge on it. I haven't upgraded yet to the other one. So this one is max 72 psi, which is a weird number. But in any case, what you do is you go up and then you go down. If you need to seat it more, got a little backwash there when I filled it in. So I'm at roughly 70. We'll get a little back spray. That's why I do it on the upper portion, so hopefully pushes doesn't gump up the valve as much. Tighten this back down. It'll have its own valve cap. And this is where you do the little wishy-washy. Look at the bead of the tire. Make sure it's even all the way around. And I still need to put the rotor on this guy and the cassette and all that. But I want to get the tubes seated first. I did do a little quick true. Make sure there's no hops and so forth. So there we have it. Pretty much the least messy setup. So here's the problem, right? You get a flat on the road and this doesn't seal it. You get a pair of gloves like this, put in your little pack, because you'll have to tear your tire apart and put it in a tube. Old school. Hopefully you'll take care of 99% of the stuff you run over and seal it. And that's the whole concept behind it. Also, the other concept is you can run a lower pressure, better traction. This stems from the mountain bike world. But the problem is if you go too low, the impact on an angle here could up and hit the rim. It's supposed to prevent pinch flats when you had tubes, but also you can still damage your rim. So don't be fooled by thinking that you're bomb-proof. You're not. There's a lower pressure, there's less protection to that rim. So if you're hitting a lot of hardcore angles, yeah, tubeless is not going to save you. Then you'll get a dinged rim, and then all of a sudden it's not sealing in that rim area. And aluminum does not like to be bent back because you fatigue it. So therefore, there's our tubeless setup. I'm going to do the second one here, but using, again, some good stuff from Silka. It's more of like a glue, as has been explained, than a sealant, which actually means it probably works better. And the rim tape I used was the Scotch. It's the 8896 tape. 12 bucks or something like that for a full roll, so you can go through multiple tires. And apparently the guy I was watching was pretty ecstatic about that, and it held up really well, and he's been using it for a couple years. So there's some tested and tried process there, and it's as thin as the stands and the other kinds, which become a super hot mess. And if you do mess up, you still have a remainder roll, and you're not running back out and getting another $40 mess up boo-boo. The sealant here, you can try your own sealants or what have you. It does say do not inject it in there. It has to be poured, which I pretty much do that anyway. I tried the injectors. It's a freaking mess anyway, and then it clogs up the valves. I went with the less expensive valve cores because they're 14 bucks versus $32 for the muck-off ones, which are suggested. But that's all up to you to do that. But inexpensive, this is a good route to go. Apparently this stuff actually works the best. And the valve cores, I don't know. I think that all valve cores are pretty the same, but that's my general opinion. I mean, I'm sure they have some better technology to them to some level, but they're all going to gunk up. Anyway, so that's the setup. Modern day setup tubeless for what I've seen out there. And before I've used to use stands and their injector and their valve cores and their tape. Also used Gorilla tape in a pinch, which seemed to work pretty well. The only problem is there when you take the tire off, it does push that tape over. The trick is to pre-seat it on new, or even on used when you clean all the glue out. Pre-seat it first before you actually put the sealant in there. That helps the mess driver to be less. So in any case, well, thanks for hanging out with me. Hope that helps with some tubeless tech tips there, what I've seen so far. Gloves, safety glasses, ear protection, those pinions, I had one that was a 27 wide one, almost a fat tire, but not. And I was setting it up, and it popped its bead when I was doing the compressor, and whoosh sound. Neighbors came out. You okay? And I'm like stuccoed with sealant from head to toe. So it could happen. It gets ugly sometimes. So in any case, well, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. I hope that gives you some insights. If you have any question about this, take to your local shop to have it done. I think my local shop charges like 20 bucks per wheel. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have you do it. No, but they'll have services there. It's to set it up first time right, and then you can experiment after, or if you do a hot mess and you want to have somebody take over, at least you tried. Now, I'm always a component of, hey, give it a try first. If not, we're here to help afterwards. In any case, please, learn your bike, learn your parts. If it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Until next time, information in the description below. Throw some comments if you have tips and tricks that actually works well too. Tell me if there's a good floor pump out there that has a high compression. You need to buy one of those when I'm out in the field at some point. I saw a Toe Peak one that looked pretty cool, but let me know. Share it's community. And again, thank you for hanging out with the garage. You're the one that makes this channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.